posted a story on his Instagram. He posted a story on his Instagram. He had taken Parker to go get a pup cup. And that was it. Like, he took Parker to get a pup cup, posted it, let Parker eat a little bit of it, and then that was it. And I think the reason why he posted that was to signal to Gypsy, like, this is what I'm doing. Like, I'm not sitting at home stressed about you. I'm out with my dog, having a good time, you know? I don't think Ken really cares. Shut up, Andino. Where'd you hear that? No, season 3. He turned his location off. I bet he did. I would have. Where are y'all hearing that there's going to be a season 3? Unless there's drama between her, Ken, and Ryan, there's nothing to really show. I mean, being totally honest, there wasn't anything interesting about the entire season aside from the drama between Ken, Ryan, and Gypsy. Like, that was the only interesting thing that happened. Everything else was a snooze fest. Like, nothing exciting happened. Who said they're going to start filming in June? Hey, Charlie. We got to stop speaking that shit into existence. We do not want her to get a season 3. Ivory Rose grows wild, or Ivory Rose knows? Everyone on YouTube, I had to leave and come back because the camera went black, and I don't know what happened with that. So Ivory Rose knows said that. Y'all, I don't trust what she says. I'm just going to be honest. She hangs out with Nina, and we all know that Nina likes to lie for the views. So you trust what you want to trust. I'm just letting you know that I don't trust what her or Nina has to say. Not anymore. Yeah, Lifetime's not making enough money off of this season to give her another one. Like, that would be crazy. Ratings are so low. Does anybody know how to find the ratings for last season? Like, what were they last season? They were filming at Jazz Fest. I didn't see any camera crew around. Who said that? Hello. I'm going to try to figure out what the ratings are. I'm going to look it up as soon as I finish moisturizing my body. Okay. A few on the app. Okay. I froze. Yeah, it kicked me off for some reason. I'm back on YouTube though. Hey, Cindy. Oh man, wouldn't that be something, Cindy? Some of her cellmates have spoken, and I have spoken to somebody that is close to Gypsy. That was close to Gypsy when Gypsy was in prison. I'm waiting on communication back from that person, but this person was Gypsy's roommate for like a while. Like, this person was roommates with her, I think, the longest period of time. They're saying that she's going to get a season 3. We can't speak that shit into existence. Ignore, ignore, ignore. They said that she hung out with the Chomos. They said that she also that she was very promiscuous while she was in prison. I don't know if I believe Naomi either. I'm going to look up how to find the ratings. Kimber, come lay down. Good boy. He got his hair cut today, y'all. Hey, Coy. He got his hair done. Oops. He's clean. He needed it. Thank you. Did y'all see him? He got his hair done. He said, "Thanks, Mom." Is top 3 on Lifetime? Shut up. The ratings, the reviews are very, very poor. Okay, let's find out how to figure out where the ratings are. Or is it views? I don't know how to search. I'm terrible at how to search things on Google. Like, I am terrible. Hey, honey bun. I had to hang up because the camera went out. How do I find out how many people are watching each episode of Gypsy Rose Life after blackout? How did you find that, Crystal? Oh, okay. USTVB. I don't know what this shit means. There's different sections. Okay, y'all, this is the chart. Can you see that? That's the chart. So up at the top, it says May 12th, 2025, and then it says demo HH. What does HH mean? Yeah, I'm trying to find the ratings. GG. It says HH, and then it says 176,000. P2 plus 231. P18 through 49, 93,000. P25 through 54, 49,000. I don't know what that shit means. Like, what does HH mean? P2 plus ratings. What does that mean? So, okay, the P2. Hold on. It says Gypsy Rose Life After Lockup is a U.S. television program aired on Lifetime since Monday, June 3rd, 2024. Gypsy Rose Life After Lockup is currently the third most popular show on Lifetime and 247th overall on TV, watched by a total of 231,000 people with a 0.07 rating, up 29% from last week as of the daily audience measurement on May 12, 2025. So it looks like last week's episode had 29% more viewership than the previous week. What happened on last week's episode? I can't even fucking remember. Oh, that was Gypsy talking to her dad about Ryan and Ken. So exactly. So like the people were only watching for that drama. That's it. So the week before, all right, I'm kind of figuring out how to read this graph. Okay, so it says this last year the P2 rating was 298,000 for the June 3rd episode. Then it went down to 283. Then it went down to 265. Then it went down to 274. Then it went up to 289. Then it went up to 358,000 on July the 8th. I don't remember what was July the 8th episode, but if y'all want to search that up, that was the highest rated episode. And then July 15th episode, this is last year, was 280. And then the July 22nd episode had 453,000 viewers. So whatever that episode was about got a lot of attention as well. Oh, that was the last episode, the pregnancy one. And then this season started out at 298, then 186, then 188, then 163, no, then 211, then 181, then 224, then 178, then 218, then 122. So it dropped way down for the bumpy road ahead and the last episode, and then it jumped back up. So at the highest, it looks like at the highest 453,000 viewers. Okay. So the top 3 Lifetime shows right now are Judd Family, Truth Be Told, with an audience of 500,000, which is pretty good. Then it's Dr. Pimple Popper at 236,000. And then Gypsy Rose Life After Lockup at 231. Joanne, what are you talking about? Yeah, they need to stop. They need to stop watching because she's still getting a lot of viewers. A lot. She's definitely doing this to get attention. What is JoJo Fox even talking about? You're so jealous of her you can't see straight. Girl, I see just fine. Got 20/20 vision. I see just fine. Who's holding her past against her? We're holding her present against her, as well as her past. You watched on Rumble. She's still got a lot of viewers, y'all. A lot. No, you what? Girl, to finish your sentence. You sound stupid. No, I'm not. What? Girl, what are you even talking about? You can't even finish a sentence. Are you illiterate? Do you need some help? Yes, you can see my nails. Aren't they cute? It's probably GRB. She definitely needs hooked on phonics. It's probably Gypsy because she can't get a sentence out. She's a millionaire and I can't stand it. Girl, I don't care. I do not care if she has money. If she's a millionaire, why she on live begging for dry begging on the internet saying she only has $50? Yeah, she's fake. I'm not even gonna bother with her. She obviously needs to go take a a spelling class. Hey, Gypsy. Oh, check the uneducation. Okay. I'm not talking about her mothering skills. Girl, bye. I'm trying to figure that out, Charlie. Y'all, there we go. Hold on. I'm adding moderators. Okay. Charlie, I added you, and Brittany, I added you. Yeah, she's definitely got her flying monkeys working. Working. You're in the hospital? I'm so sorry. Just ignore. You don't have to worry about modding for this one. Just ignore. I hope you're okay. Gypsy doesn't have any mothering skills. None whatsoever. Because she's too fucking selfish. She is too fucking selfish. Her past is coming back to haunt her, and she hates it because she had gotten away with it for so long, pretending to be a victim of Munchausen by proxy. I mean, this story had been out in the media for 8 years while she was in prison, and now that she has come out, people are starting to see a different side of things. I don't know what it was like for her in prison, and if she was getting any kind of negative feedback while she was in prison. I want to imagine it wasn't that bad because she was in prison, right? Like, she keeps bringing up the Menendez brothers, and the difference between her and the Menendez brothers is the Menendez brothers have spent 30 years in prison. Like, they're still in prison serving time for the crime that they committed. They're not on TV after only spending 8 years in prison with zero remorse, trying to be famous. And that's the difference between her and them. She literally only did 8 years in prison and is now out pretending like she is a celebrity because of what she did. And they did a lot of work while they were in prison as well. Like, they did a lot of work while they were in prison. And that was with the idea that they were never going to get out. You know, they had the idea that they were never going to get out of prison, and they still did all that work and spent all that time and effort to rehabilitate themselves, not only to rehabilitate themselves, but to help others. And that's what prison is for rehabilitation. And she hasn't done any of that. She hasn't even helped one other person. Not even one other person has she helped. I don't, Sharon. Okay, Brittany, these PJs are from Petite Plume. And then the robe I got from Amazon. I don't think Ken told her to take a break. I think she thinks that taking a break is going to somehow repair the damage that has been done between her and Ken for her actions between her and Ryan. And it's not. It's not going to repair anything. Her taking a break from social media has absolutely nothing to do with what the fuck she did with Ryan. I mean, she was emotionally cheating on Ken with Ryan the day that she gave birth. Literally, they were in the hospital. Ken was there with his baby at the hospital, and she was texting Ryan in the fucking hospital room. Like, you got a lot of nerve. A lot of nerve to be doing this to people. She has absolutely no concern for anyone else's feelings but her own. Oh, Laurel. There's so much that has happened. Like, it would take me forever to recap. No, I didn't. She needs a lot more than a social media detox. What the girl needs is mental health help. Like, she needs intensive mental health assistance. Like, in house. She needs to go into a facility and get the help that she needs. Intensive care is what she needs. Because it's like I said in my video, everyone keeps saying, oh, she's displaying behaviors that her mother displayed. We don't actually know that her mom displayed any of those behaviors. Those words came from Gypsy. I think she was projecting what she was doing onto her mom, blaming her mom, but the entire time it was actually Gypsy. So while everybody thinks, oh, she's acting like her mother, no, she's just finally showing everyone who she is instead of hiding behind, oh, it was my mother doing this, that, or whatever. I don't even think that she realizes that she has a problem. That's part of the issue, is that she doesn't realize that she has a problem. She thinks she's right. She didn't get banned from TikTok. She got demonetized from TikTok She said that she was violating community guidelines, and she was upset about that, and basically said in the live stream that she tried to tell TikTok that it was a bunch of haters reporting her account for no reason. And I don't think that that's the reason why. And she was trying to convince TikTok that she didn't do anything wrong, that she's being singled out because people just don't like her. Laurel, Gypsy does not live in reality. She does not live, not in this reality. She lives in an alternate universe where she thinks that rules do not apply to her. And I believe that that is partially her mother's fault, because she mentioned in a live stream that her mother never held her accountable for anything. And I wondered, like, if you're saying that your mom never held you accountable for anything, how could we believe that she was abusing you behind the scenes if you're saying she was your biggest enabler? Usually, abusers don't allow you to do whatever you want, they don't enable you to have poor behavior. Abusers typically hold your feet to the fire and abuse you when you're doing something that they think is wrong or inappropriate or whatever. So it kind of opened the door for even more suspicion when she said that, because again, how are you saying that your mother was your biggest enabler, yet you want us to believe that she was abusive? They don't coexist. I don't think that they can coexist, but you let me know what you think. Do you think that you can have an enabler that is also abusive? I don't know. I don't know. I personally do not think so. Yeah, she's going to be her own downfall. And I've been saying this for the last year. Like, just let Gypsy talk. Just let her keep talking, because the more she talks, the more she digs herself into a deeper grave. And that's what we need. You're on the same page. It's honestly, it's so nice. It's so refreshing to have a conversation with people that actually understand like my way of thinking, because not a lot of people carry logic. You know, they don't carry any logic. They think and act on emotions, and sometimes when you think and act on emotions, it can actually cloud the bigger picture of thing. Yes, let them tell on themselves. Exactly. Let them. Um, she is a spoiled, and that's what she was admitting to. I hope Lifetime doesn't give her a third season, but from the ratings thing that I just looked at, it looks like she's rated top 3 on Lifetime Network, behind what was it behind? Let me look up the thing again. Damn it. I closed it out. Okay, behind the Judd Family and behind Dr. Pimple Popper. That's why they moved Gypsy to 10 o'clock. Everybody's in the comments on this page, on this ratings page, just drilling into Lifetime for giving her a platform. But you can see right here, the Judd Family was down 29% with an audience of 500,000. Dr. Pimple Popper was down 11% with 238, and Gypsy was up 29% with 231. And that's because this past week's episode was the drama between her, Ken, and Ryan. And people don't really care about anything else that's going on with Gypsy other than the drama. Like, it dropped way down to only 100,000 people, and then it went back up. I don't know why people are still watching, but people are still paying attention. And I hope she doesn't get another season. Like, I really hope she doesn't. Munchausen by proxy, it's just shortened for MBP. So, Laurel, the idea was that Gypsy's mother had Munchausen by proxy and was making Gypsy sick. That's what her defense team was going to use if Gypsy had to go to trial, but she didn't go to trial. She took a plea. And because she took a plea, they never really had to use that defense. But even the suspicion of that defense got out into the public, and people just started running with it, saying that Gypsy was abused and her mother had Munchausen syndrome by proxy and was forcing Gypsy to go through all these different surgeries and procedures that she didn't need. It was a lie. Everyone has seen her medical records now, and Gypsy was actually sick. Like, her mother wasn't making her sick. Gypsy actually was sick and has a microdeletion. Has a microdeletion that was causing all of her functions to delay, as her dad was saying, yeah, they were all necessary. Everything that she had was necessary. She never had anything done to her that was unnecessary. But there's the speculation that her mother had Munchausen by proxy. So there's still a lot of people out there that believe that Gypsy was abused, even though we all know that she wasn't. There's a lot of people that now believe she wasn't abused and are finally starting to see that she was scamming. Yeah, they were scamming to make money so that they could live. I mean, Dee Dee was a single mom. I mean, you know how hard it is to be a parent. And both of us had help, and it was still really fucking hard having help. Imagine not having any help and having a sick child. Like, what lengths would you go to ensure that your child was treated and taken care of and that you guys had a place to live? Like, she went through the ends of the earth to make sure that Gypsy had everything that she needed. And Gypsy was a very spoiled child and is a very spoiled adult. Yeah, you would go to all lengths. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And Gypsy has committed to this act of she's a survivor of Munchausen by proxy. Yo, Mike Stanfield was like, you've been playing sick for 10, 15 years of your life. I need you now to pretend to be a Munchausen by proxy survivor so that we can get you out of prison and we can get you money. We can flip everything around and we can make society love you. And that's exactly what he did. He said, I know that you've been playing a sick kid, but you no longer have to pretend to be a sick kid anymore. All you have to do is pretend that your mother was forcing you to be sick. That your mother forced you to go through all these unnecessary surgeries. Alexa, off. And she was like, bet. And the money started rolling in. But now that society is not really on her side anymore, more and more truth is starting to come out. His diagnosis was so severe, and he's a fucking attorney. Like, how are you going to tell your client that your mother had Munchausen syndrome by proxy? You're not a fucking doctor. But she went along with it and was like, okay, whatever you say. And that's when the money started rolling in. Yeah. And that's the difference between, so a lot of people don't realize that when somebody has Munchausen syndrome by proxy, Munchausen syndrome by proxy is typically only because you want to get attention from your immediate family, your community, and other mothers for taking care of your sick child. There's never a financial reward. Never. That's the difference between malingering and Munchausen by proxy. Malingering is pretending to be sick for financial gain, for charity, for support, for sympathy. Munchausen syndrome by proxy is for attention and sympathy only. When you add financial gain, it's no longer Munchausen syndrome by proxy. It's malingering. And her medical records and her life shows us that it was all for financial reward. It was all for personal benefit, charity, money, donations, events, trips to Disney, airplane rides, celebrity meet and greets. Like everything that they got was for financial gain, which excludes it from being Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Right. I know. There are some things that you just have to do when they're sick. I mean, you just have to do because they're sick. And that's what Dee Dee's mom did. I mean, that's what Gypsy's mom did. She did what she thought she had to do. She couldn't work. She couldn't have a job. Raw deadbeat dad wasn't paying any child support, so she wasn't getting any help. GRB was collecting a disability check. She was. Hey, Tennille. They had malingering written in Gypsy's medical records, not once, not twice, but several times, where the doctors were saying that Gypsy was actually malingering, not Dee Dee. Gypsy was doing it. And she pretended, like she says on all these interviews, oh, my mom just told me to sit quiet in my wheelchair, and I just sat very still because mother knows best. That's not true. Gypsy was speaking for herself. And a lot of times Dee Dee wasn't even in the room because, you know, they notate everything. They're taking notes on everything. So when you go into the doctor's office, they're taking note of your appearance, they're taking note of your weight, they're taking note of your blood pressure, they're taking note of everything. And they're going to write all of that in their reports. The personality shift is because she doesn't have an identity of her own. She projects the same identity for the people that she's around because she doesn't know who she is, and she's a sociopath. And sociopaths tend to, mimic the people that they're around. Yeah, Dee Dee gave up her entire life. She didn't have a life. Everything she did for Gypsy. You never see her, like, after she had Gypsy, you never saw pictures of her going out to do anything for herself. Ever. There was never any word, hey, Holly, there was never any word of Dee Dee going out to do anything for herself. It was always doing for Gypsy? Like, do you seriously think that 4 weeks after Gypsy was born, that Dee Dee was out clubbing, out to concerts, flying across the country to go on TV? No, she was taking care of her daughter. Yeah, once you see who she is, you can't unsee it. I saw it early on. And I'm glad that I did. Because there was a small portion of me that, for a small second, wondered, could this story about Munchausen syndrome by proxy be true? I wanted to make sure that if it was true, that I knew that it was true, right? Like, I knew that it was true. There was no doubts in my mind. This is what happened. I wanted to make sure, if I'm going to support someone, that I know the story, because I'm not going to put my support into anyone. It's okay. I don't want to put my support into anyone that does unalive somebody for any other reason other than self-defense, right? Like, we all know that self-defense is a real thing. And if it was self-defense, okay, great. I can get behind that. I know I've been in situations where I've had to, protect myself and fight back in ways that, took me out of my character, right? But I had to do what I had to do in those moments. So I get that. But this was a planned event, planned for years. And everyone says, oh, she planned it for 2 years. She planned it for 4. 4 years was the very first time that she tried to unalive her mother herself. So she planned it for 4 years. She had been thinking about it. Yeah, oh yeah. Rod paid for support. They all paid for support. Especially when you're dealing with somebody who is a convicted felon. Like, I'm not just going to hand out my support to everyone. Like, a lot of these people on TikTok see somebody who has a lot of followers and they just fall in line because they're followers. They don't care if they have bad integrity, no morals, no values, poor character, a lack of judgment. They don't care. They just see that this person has a lot of followers and they're like, okay, well, I'm going to be like everyone else and support them. Not me. I want to make sure that the people that I'm supporting, I can actually get behind and trust who they are. And that's why I didn't want to just willy-nilly give my support to a convicted unaliver getting out of prison. I wanted to make sure that it was right. The act had me for a second too, but then I watched Mommy Dead and Dearest, and she said, oh, this is the first time that I've been honest. I haven't even really been honest with my attorneys. And she was laughing about it like it was fucking funny. And for me, that told me everything that I needed to know about who she is. Because if you will lie to your attorney, who else would you not lie to? I mean, your attorney is literally there to help you, to get you out of whatever shit that you are in. It doesn't matter what you tell them. The truth is, their job is to defend you. So you should be the most honest with your attorney, because their job is to defend you regardless if you did it or not. They're supposed to get you the best, give you the best defense. Thank you, Holly. And he did his job. He fucking did his job. Becky, I don't think that that she told him that her mother was making her sick. I think that was his idea, and Gypsy just went along with it. I don't think that Gypsy was the one who brought it up, because she says, my attorney told me that my mom had something like Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Yeah, he made the whole shit up and she just went along with it. It was his and Christy's idea. Yeah. He made it up. He knew it was a good defense because he saw the medical records. He's not a fucking idiot. He knows that she was sick. Like, he knows. He saw everything. But all you have to do is create doubt. It doesn't have to be true. You just have to create enough doubt. And that's what he did. He created enough doubt. And people believed it. Yeah, he knew she was guilty. He watched all those pornographic videos that she sent to Nicholas, masturbating herself with a toothbrush. He saw all that shit. Yeah. Yeah, he saw every bit of it and still defended her. Yeah. And no, Dan Patterson didn't help the situation because they didn't do a thorough investigation. I did. I meant to do that just in case. You don't have to feel like you have to do anything right now. Just in case, Roma. Who? Dan Patterson was a friend of the family, or Mike Stanfield? I don't think Mike Stanfield was a friend of the family. He was a court-appointed attorney. He was a free attorney. God, I wish I had had a free attorney like him. Yes, Laurel. She was masturbating with a toothbrush for over 12 minutes, pleasuring herself with the electric toothbrush. And she wants everybody to believe that she was forced to do that. And she was following some script from her master, Victor. Exactly, Holly. Yet her teeth, right? Because she wasn't using her toothbrush for its actual use. She was using it for other uses. Yeah, everybody deserves an attorney like Mike Stanfield. Straight up. I wish I had had a public defender that gave that much of a shit whenever I had, situations where I had a court-appointed attorney. Most of them don't give a fuck. They're looking to get whatever plea they can get and move on. And he did a good job. I mean, that was his job as her criminal defense attorney, and he did it. He created enough doubt, and that's why we are where we are today, because of that doubt that he planted. So apparently his paralegal went into groups on Facebook and started throwing out the idea of the Munchausen syndrome by proxy. And there were a lot of people who were saying, well, even still, that doesn't give her the right to take someone's life, right? Hey, Jacqueline, but there were a lot of people who felt like it was justified because of that. And that's how Mike Stanfield knew that that was good enough to create doubt and level the playing field and get her off with a lesser charge. Yeah, Christy, and that's what he did. Thank you. He polled the public to test the theory. Yeah. And he used the mainstream media as his weapon. I mean, he knew how to use the mainstream media. Yeah, it's in the FOIA. I haven't even looked at all those documents because I haven't had like the time to sit down and look through them all, but there's a lot of information in the FOIA documents. A lot. Right, exactly like a focus group. Exactly like that. And that's what he did. I mean, that was part of his job. And everybody's mad at Mike Stanfield, and it's like he did what he was supposed to do for his client. Does that make it right? No, it doesn't make it right. But now that they're basically handcuffed to this idea that Gypsy was a victim of Munchausen syndrome by proxy. They're handcuffed to that now because that's the narrative that they went with, and that's the narrative that has been out there for all this time. They're not going to be able to get away from that ever. Gypsy's going to have to pretend that she's a recovering victim from Munchausen syndrome by proxy for the rest of her life. I could not imagine having to do that for the rest of my life. And I think that that's why she gives little small snippets, because it's hard to keep up a huge lie like that. I mean, that's a huge fucking lie. And every now and again, she'll leak a little more information about how well she was treated by her mom, the Christmas traditions, all the clothes that she had, all the celebrities that she met. Like every now and again, you'll hear her talking about how good her life was. But it's all going to unravel. It's all going to unravel because you can't live a huge lie like that for the rest of your life and it not come undone. There's too many moving parts to it now. And I've said this once and I will say it again. When the popular narrative is no longer that Gypsy was a victim of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, and the mainstream media finally gets a hold of the information that proves that, everybody is going to flip on her, including her family, because then it becomes more profitable to tell the actual truth, not this lie that they've been telling. It's going to become more profitable to tell the truth, the true story, because it's going to be so wild and crazy and eye-opening and captivating that people are going to gravitate towards that. Yeah, she did, Holly. And she did have a closet full of clothes, dressers full of wigs. Like, she had a lot of stuff. I think there's a small I think that there's a small piece of Mike Stanfield that what's the best way to say it? I think that there's a small piece of Mike Stanfield that is infatuated with what he knows about Gypsy and her secret life. Yeah. I think that he enjoyed watching those videos. And I think that there's a small portion of him that actually got off to those videos, which is why he supports her so much. I did see that. Oh yeah, he totally liked it. He probably had to lock his door so he could all day to those videos, watching back to back to back to back to back. I love Barbara from Straight Outta Context. I love her. Her and I speak on a Not a regular basis, but we do talk. Like not on the internet, like on the phone. So she's one of my favorites too. I love Barbara. And I love Ashley. Back to Ashley. We were talking about her earlier. This one. Gypsy Rose was online. Gypsy Rose. Okay. This is the video that she's talking about where Gypsy is claiming that she doesn't know her age. Now, we all know that that's bullshit, but...
Playing the hell out of this. What you see in this picture? Is that a damn birthday cake? Another birthday cake. Another birthday cake. This may be from the same event. Birthday cake. They all got candles on them. All had different ages. Why this tip would be so bad that every picture of that is at a different plate, different birthday cake, different candles, different age. Let's get into what we're really here for. Gypsy Rose has been telling us that she didn't need no damn G-tube, feeding tube, whatever you call it. He did studies on Gypsy. She wasn't doing great with eating. Most importantly, I want you to notice the dates. 2000, she's in Louisiana, New Orleans. You have her real fucking age. First, it talks about what she's being fed through the feeding tube and how much. Bottom highlighted part talks about how her weight has improved from when she started seeing this doctor in the year 2000. She was 36 pounds at 9 years old. That's not normal. I have a 9-year-old. He talks about how in 4 years, her weight has gone up. Even at 9, it was the weight of a 7-year-old. Gypsy was given Botox into her salivary glands. She was choking. She was drooling. And she told the doctor, look at that little, after the blue part, look at the yellow part. She told the doctors that the Botox worked for a minute. But now, it just wasn't helping. Telling him she was beginning to drool, cough, and choke again. Gypsy was having problems with eating. That wasn't a lie. This was all happening in New Orleans. Her real age being documented. Multiple studies being done on how she is swallowing. Dee was still very much trying to get Gypsy to eat regular food and drink water, which is something, and one of the reports said that she did not want to do it. In her documentary, they showed it. And Gypsy.
And even now, she says that she doesn't like drinking water. Remember Ken saying, I have to keep getting on her to drink more water?
Says, what? I never told the doctor that. Did my mama say that or something? They did a study on you, girl. They did a whole study. It's in your medical records. They have her medical records from Louisiana. Whoa. They didn't start lying about Gypsy's age until she moved her ass to Missouri. Gypsy spins a story like her mom just upped and moved her. From what I saw, they evacuated them from Louisiana to Missouri. Not because her mom was like, let's fucking go. When they moved to Louisiana, Gypsy would have been about 14, 15 years old. I have a child that is going to be 15 in July, and I am telling you right now, if I rolled back his age a year,
the walls would come down, because it does not fucking happen. I'm gonna go up to my 17-year-old daughter and be like, honey, you're not 17 anymore. You're 16 now. Oh, you're not 16 anymore. You're 15 now. Not gonna fucking happen. Not gonna happen.
Considering we see multiple pictures with candles, she definitely knew her age. If I didn't know any better, I'd say her mother was letting her have food and sugar. But hey, this is all alleged and entertainment purpose only, my opinion. The rest, well, Gypsy Rose, these are your records. Gypsy Rose is
playing in our face. She is playing in our face. No kid. And that's the thing too. So Rod says in one of the documentaries, and the documentary video that you did was also really good. Where's that? You just did it. You just posted it today, I thought. About how documentaries don't necessarily need to be based on fact. He said that when he called to tell her happy 18th birthday, that Dee said, don't tell her that she's 18. Like, what? What parent is going to tell the father of their child, don't tell your child how old they are? And that wasn't a fucking red flag? Like, are you fucking serious? I think that was a lie. Obviously, Rod was lying because he had to go with the story. Obviously had to go with the story of, Gypsy didn't know her age. So this was his little way of participating in that lie. He's just following the storyline. Why? Because that's what they're getting paid to do. And he said on Fancy's live, the story is whatever people will pay for. That's what the story is. The story is whatever people are willing to pay for. And that's what he's doing. They're following whatever storyline they need to in order to make money. And it's not getting any different. Like it's continuing to be the same. Even now, they're still following whatever is going to get them paid the most. The story that makes no sense. Exactly. But there's so many idiots out there that actually believe it. Like, use some critical thinking. Did you skip that class? Did you skip critical thinking class? Like, I think that I learned critical thinking skills when I was in like the 5th grade. Did you drop out in 4th grade? Like, what happened? Because how do you not have any critical thinking skills to look at this story and see all of the holes in the story? The bricks are starting to fall down. The bricks are starting to fall. More and more people are starting to see that the story is a lie. And when you look at all of the symptoms of the microdeletion, like, how can you sit here and say that you were unscathed, but your medical records prove that no, you were not unscathed? You literally had everything that's on the list of the symptoms of the microdeletion. Everything that is on the list, Gypsy had. And then for her to act like, oh, my mom used this as a blueprint. How did your mom know when she didn't? How did your mom know to use it as a blueprint when she didn't even find out about it until 2011? She couldn't have used that as a blueprint because she didn't know about it until 2011. So she doesn't understand that a lot of the shit that she says doesn't make any sense, but most of her supporters are too ignorant and too stupid to do any research or care. Down to her features. And when she gets mad, those features of the microdeletion really come out. Like, really come out. I hate to be like that. I'm not picking on her for the way she looks. I'm just saying it is very, very clear when she gets angry that you can see the facial markings of the microdeletion. Her followers are gullible because, number one, it's emotionally gratifying to believe that she was ABUSED for so long and she finally stood up for herself and took her power back and did something about it. You know, it's emotionally satisfying to think that and to hold on to that idea, even though it's not true. They don't care. They don't care if it's true. Like, they've gotten to the point where, and I think Ashley talked about this too, where it's gotten to the point where it's cult-like. Like, I don't know what she's gonna call it. The cult of Gypsy, the family of Gypsy. I don't know what she's gonna call it, but it's definitely very cult-like. Because they will follow her and listen to her and support her no matter what she does. Even up until just a couple of days ago, Bree and that lady Sheena and Rogie enabling her cheating on Ken with Ryan. Like, oh, you didn't get to learn all these things in your teens, so you're having a latent adolescent stage now. Like, that's no excuse for cheating on your partner and sending pictures of your baby to another man. Like, that's not adolescent shit. That's psychotic shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, It's not immature thinking. It's psychotic behavior. It's psychotic, toxic behavior. She's not transparent. How are you going to be transparent with somebody when you're lying to them about literally everything that you're doing? I don't think Ken knows anything about what Gypsy does whenever he's at work all day. And that's why she's always turn your location on, because she's got to be doing some weird, freaky shit whenever he's gone. And she wants to know when he's coming back so that she can clean up whatever she's doing. Yeah, so that's the thing too. So remember, her and everyone else in the family was saying that Gypsy or that Dee Dee had Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Yet every time we turn around, Gypsy is on live or in her show or talking to her besties about all these medical issues that she's going through. It was postpartum depression. Before that, it was vertigo. Before that, it was having issues with her legs. Before that, I can't remember. But there's literally always something wrong with her. Even now, she continues to show that she has Munchausen. Like, she's the one with the illness, not her mother. She's the one who uses sickness to get attention. That's what she does. It's an excuse. Yeah, it's an excuse. And she says, I know it's no excuse. Then why are you trying to use it as an excuse? Like, be so fucking for real right now. Like, she never takes accountability for literally anything that she does. Never. Let me look for that other video just in case you guys didn't see it.
I just want to let y'all know that Gypsy Rose not only knew her age, but she had documents up at the hospital going to see Dan, proving to him.
I don't know if this is the one or not.
She had multiple documents. Dan Gladwell, my teeth feel absolutely so supportive. I didn't have those. Apparently, I'm getting major backlash for the action. How many people fell victim to Gypsy Rose's documentary? And it's like, it's a documentary. It's got to be factual. This is her story. Documentaries don't have to be factual, and a lot of them
I didn't know that.
Create bias.
I didn't know that documentaries did not have to be factual. I had no idea. Like, if I'm watching a documentary, I'm thinking that this is factual information. Otherwise, why would there be a documentary about it, right? No. It does not have to be true. That's crazy.
I'd like to show you some clips from Mommy, Dad, and Dearest that did just that. Now, if you don't know, Mommy, Dad, and Dearest was put out way before Nick even went to trial.
And I'll add Ashley's handle in the comments if you don't already follow her.
Is some medical record where Dee Dee essentially lied to the doctor about something.
In damn near every single documentary, we see Stanfield with a stack of medical records. Yet he never brings up her microdeletion. It has been in her medical documents since like 2011. They're already setting the stage for, Gypsy didn't need any of this. She was completely healthy. And this...
started talking a little bit about witchcrafts and just different weird dark stuff like that. It's kind of weird. She had a pet tarantula.
I don't know why that's weird. Lots of people have pet spiders.
Into voodoo or dark magic, and that was Gypsy Alcida. She buried a cow tongue in a jar. She said, "I'd never find love." Setting the stage for Dee Dee was into some really dark stuff, man.
Dee Dee was my aunt. Real weird girl. I would think she's bipolar, no doubt. Multiple personalities, perhaps. Definitely an evil person, I would say.
There's no record of Dee Dee ever having bipolar, or multiple personality. But
she never saw any doctors to diagnose her with either of these disorders. But Gypsy self-diagnoses even her own mother.
In her interrogation, told Detective Hancock her mother had bipolar. That's what she told him when she was coming up with excuses of why he just found her mother unalived in her bed. Bobby ain't even seen Dee Dee in forever and a day. They're setting the stage for Dee Dee was affected by some sort of mental health issues. Him saying Dee Dee was evil when everybody else who had been around Dee Dee said she was kind, she was generous, she was loving, took really good care of Gypsy.
Last doctor he talked to, they said his mind is probably always going to be 15, 16, right around there.
In this part of the interrogation or interview, should I say, with Nick's parent, trying to make him come off as a loner who had mental issues, but not showing the part of the interrogation.
Trying to portray him as some creepy, outcast, weirdo dude who had all these sick, evil fantasies.
Or the detective sitting with Nick's mother, Stephanie, told her that Gypsy and her mother were pretending that Gypsy was sick. That Gypsy's mother had been pushing Gypsy around in a wheelchair, pretending that she could walk. That Gypsy had been telling people that she was receiving treatments. And then the detective, who is also from the Springfield community, goes on to talk about how Gypsy and her mother were getting thousands in donations from the community. They don't show that in any of the documentaries. It's easy to get caught up in these documentaries and think they're factual. They're not. They are a one-sided story told by a murderer, perpetrator turned victim. Everybody in these documentaries was cut a check. Mike Stan.
I was watching something on Netflix the other night. It was a new documentary about this bride who had, her and her dad had unalived her husband, and one of the statements that the cop made was, we always need to be careful when we are talking to somebody who has just committed a murder. Like, we don't want to just believe what this person says because they just committed a murder, for crying out loud. I'll have to find that clip because it was very, like, eye-opening. Like, I wish people would actually look at that a little bit more clearly, because why are we so quick to believe Gypsy? She's a fucking murderer. Like, why are people believing her? When did it become okay to just trust the word of somebody who's convicted of killing their own mother? Their own mother while she was sleeping in her bed. Like, come on. They think that because she talks with a sweet, innocent voice and she's only 4'11", how could she do something so cruel? That's what they think. And it's like, it doesn't matter how tall you are. It doesn't matter what your voice sounds like. If you're a psychopath who's convicted of murder, why is anyone putting their trust in that person? It baffles me that she still has so many supporters that will come to her defense in the comment section. It's like, do you guys not have a brain at all? You just believe everything that she says without actually checking up on any of it. Like, they just eat everything she says. And I think a lot of that has something to do with the fact that she has 9.6 million followers on TikTok. Young people see that, and even some older people see that you have this huge amount of followers, so they just undoubtedly give you their love and support because you've got all these followers. You must be somebody worthy of admiration, praise, and support. If you've got 9.6 million followers, they don't know that 95% of them are bot followers. Like, they have no idea that they're bot. And I think that there's going to come a time when we're not going to be able to see like follower count on TikTok and social media and any of that. Like follower count isn't going to matter. It's going to matter more about who you are, the content that you make, and all of those things. We're slowly progressing to that level, but right now there's still a lot of shallow fucking people out there that think that just because she has all these followers, she deserves to be believed and supported. Even celebrities, like celebrities are still, oh, hey, Katie, celebrities are in her comments, you know, singing her praises and, oh, you're such an you're so admirable, and you know, you were put in a bad position, you did what you had to do. I'm sorry, but her mother was asleep. The same way that she walked out of that house after they committed that crime is the same way that she could have walked out of that house while her mother was asleep, got in a taxi cab, got on the bus, went to Waukesha, Wisconsin, and left her mother there alive. Her mother did not have to die. She didn't. She didn't have to die. She was asleep. Gypsy stole $4,000 from her mother's safe and booked it to Waukesha, Wisconsin with Nick. They could have did all that and left Dee Dee sleeping in the bed. Dee Dee would have had no knowledge where Gypsy went. And she would not have been able to track her down or come get her or bring her back home or any of that shit. That's what makes me mad too, Ashley. I mean, it would have been a different situation if her and her mother were like in the middle of a fight and she was protecting herself, right? That's different. But she was asleep in her bed. She had absolutely no idea what was coming. And they didn't have to do that. They just didn't have to do that. They could have left. She could have left. And now there's rumors coming out that, you know how Gypsy said that they had SEX in her bedroom and that they took all of her stuffed animals off of the bed? That's a lie too, because why would they have had SEX on the bed, taken all the stuffed animals off the bed, and then put them back on the bed? That makes absolutely no fucking sense. They apparently had SEX right next to Dee Dee's dead body. You can see the knees in the blanket, like the pressure of the knees in the blanket. They didn't do it in Gypsy's room. They did it right next to her dead body because Gypsy has sick, weird fucking fantasies of weird shit like that. Like who does that? It's disgusting. She was watching women get raped and tasered to DEATH, like on that, those things were on her internet search history. She's sadistic, and that hasn't changed. We still see those behaviors now in how she treats these men. She's being sadistic with them as well. Katie, did your earrings come in? Are you wearing the snake ones or are you wearing one of the other ones? I couldn't imagine being in the same home as her. Not after she pulled out a GUN on me and pointed it at me and shot at me 10 times. There's absolutely no way that I would have had her in my home. I would have had that bitch arrested for attempted murder. That's what I would have done. And I understand that, like, as a mother, you don't want to you don't want to do things to hurt your children, but at the same time, if my child is coming up to me and being physically violent with me, I have every right to protect myself from my child. Just like if I'm doing something to hurt my child, they have every right to protect themselves from me. And the saddest thing is that Dee Dee did not take those precautions. And if she had, she would still be alive right now. She enabled her daughter. And that's what we know. We know that she enabled Gypsy. Why? Because she didn't do anything. She just let Gypsy treat her poorly and didn't stick up for herself. But again, I believe that they were in a domestic violence situation. And I know from personal experience, it's not as easy to call the cops on your abuser because you fear that when they get out, the abuse is going to be 10 times worse. And I feel like that's probably where Dee Dee's mind was. She was afraid of her. Absolutely. She was afraid of Gypsy. And she probably felt like maybe nobody would believe me because they were in a community where Gypsy she was acting like a sick kid. So, how can you believe that this sick child that's meek and weak and in a wheelchair just held a gun, a pew pew to her mom and at her 10 times? You know, it doesn't sound like a reasonable story. And she was probably afraid that people wouldn't believe her. And I understand why. Because for years, they had been pretending that Gypsy was sick and weak and frail and, just this ultimate sickly child. And now all of a sudden, we're supposed to believe that she's physically harming you. It's kind of hard to grasp. So I understand why her mom didn't think that people would believe her and why she covered for Gypsy. But her ultimate covering for her is the reason why she's not here now, because she had an opportunity 4 years prior to the crime to do something and hold her accountable for those violent behaviors, and she didn't. Right. She wants people to believe that she was just this frail kid, whatever. She wasn't. She wasn't. She is a master manipulator, and I'm starting to believe now that everything that she has ever uttered about her mother was actually about her. That she's projecting who she is onto her mother to make her mother sound like this horrible person. And when in reality, it's Gypsy that's actually the horrible person, not her mother. Now, do I believe that Dee Dee had some negative qualities? Of course. Nobody's fucking perfect. I'm not even perfect. I've done some shit in my life that I am absolutely not proud of, So I'm sure that Dee Dee was also not proud of some of the things that she had to do. But everything that she did was to make Gypsy's life easier, better, more comfortable, more secure. She never did anything out of malicious intent. And that's the difference between Dee Dee and Gypsy. Gypsy does things out of malicious intent. Right. I would have lied too. They were sleeping in the Superdome. Of course, they needed a reason to get out of there. And I think it was actually her doctor's suggestion to move to Missouri because I think that that's where he was going. So he was like, you should, yeah. So he was like, you should come up here with us. Ashley, that's why I think that she's sadistic, because she enjoys hurting people. So I was watching a like a crime show thing about one of the girls that Gypsy was in prison with. Hold on. I can't remember her name. Alyssa Bustamante. And everything that they were saying about Alyssa Bustamante is how I feel about Gypsy. Just remove Alyssa and replace her name with Gypsy, and that's who she is.
Hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
I won't keep you too long because I have to go to bed soon.
Yeah, I do too. You do too?
Long weekend. Well, yeah, because I have to be up at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God. I am not envious of that.
I just wanted to mention the tattoo because I saw people in the comments. I don't want people overthinking that arm tattoo. They
the one that Gypsy got that matches Christie's.
Yeah, it means what it means. It's not. There's no secret message. I mean, unless they have one, but it symbolizes rebirth, endings, new beginnings. Don't overthink that. It's just something they probably thought sounded cool or whatever, but I just wanted to clear that up.
Gypsy's tattoo?
Yeah. I just made sure and looked it up. The teardrop it doesn't represent what you think it does, Polly. If you look it up, it represents like endings or new beginnings.
I didn't see it. I didn't see the comment.
But I just wanted to clear that.
Thank you.
I'm really big on symbolism.
Yeah, me too.
Being a witch. So don't overthink that too much, you guys. It means what it means.
Hey, Susie. Okay, so I'm going to play this video, and this video is primarily about Alyssa Bustamante, but I think she's a psychotherapist or a criminal analyst or something like that, and the way that she speaks about Alyssa, everything can transfer to Gypsy. People think that because Gypsy had this, I guess, this excuse for Munchausen syndrome by proxy, that it absolves her of the mental fuckery that you have to have in order to commit a crime like murder. Like,
I know you guys see a teardrop, but the teardrop is associated with that kind of tattoo. Please stop overthinking it.
Okay, I'm going to press play.
Be investigated for murder.
I think it was only a matter of time that Alyssa would graduate to homicide. And you can see this because she delighted in inflicting pain on other people. When somebody grows up in a family with addiction issues.
And haven't we seen that Gypsy delights in hurting other people? Like, it's a pattern. We've seen this over the last year.
And a lot of instability, they don't have a safe haven for themselves. They don't know.
Also had a lot of instability, moved around from house to house to house. And then they didn't really have a stable home until they moved to Missouri and got in that Habitat for Humanity house.
Who they are, they don't know what's safe and what's not. They haven't been taught boundaries and possibly not been provided.
And we already know that Gypsy has not been taught any boundaries. She does not know what a boundary is.
Positive models on how to interact with the rest of the world.
Again, and she doesn't know how to interact with the rest of the world. Everything that she says applies to Gypsy. Everything.
And children are very much focused on the reasons for why bad things happen to them. And as children, they're very self-centered in that they always believe that they're the reason. And so it's very possible that Alyssa basically bought into her own narrative that, well, I'm basically already a bad child anyway, and I might as well behave like I'm a bad person.
They are. And that's why I wanted to bring it up, Ashley, because they are the same kind of, they're two of the same type of people. No, they didn't commit the same crime, right? Because she unalived somebody who was 8 years old, but the mental capacity, the thinking, the level of passion, and the level of pain that they both like to inflict on other people is the same.
I think it was only a matter of time that Alyssa would graduate to homicide. And you can see this because she delighted in inflicting pain on other people.
The significance of the video was lost on the young Nathaniel.
A hit, a punch, a slap, punch after punch.
Basically, Alyssa delighted in playing God. And you can understand this when you know more about the method of killing that she chose.
Elizabeth, she must have screamed out. Now she's making noise.
She chose extremely close-up, messy methods. Again, very atypical for a female, and even
Close-up, messy methods, very typical for a female. For a female, most men do not. They do other things. They usually
atypical for a young female like Alyssa was, because she was just a teenager.
How do you stop somebody from screaming after being beat and beat? You choke them. The most personal way somebody can kill somebody is by strangulation. It's up close, it's personal.
And the fact that she didn't do it at a distance, she didn't use poison, the types of things that we know.
remember when Gypsy was on the stand, I got violated. Hold on, let me appeal this really quick. Okay.
Male murderers to use, but in fact she used a knife, and then she strangled them on top of using the knife.
And you're squeezing the life out of somebody, and her hands are around little Elizabeth's neck. And Elizabeth, I can only imagine, is fighting for her life. And then not only does Alyssa strangle Elizabeth, it's not good enough for her. She wants to see and step back.
And that's exactly what Gypsy did too. She wanted to see. It wasn't good enough to just hear what was going on in the next room. She wanted to see what was going on.
Look at her work. And she takes.
And that's why she went back into the room, covered her mother up, and put the Barney doll next to her mother's head. And then that's when her and Nicholas had sex right next to her mother.
A knife and slashes poor Elizabeth's body. And then to make sure that the job is complete on this lifeless body, she takes the knife and slices her from ear to ear.
That isn't.
And I believe the one on the back of the neck was not Nicholas. I believe that was Gypsy.
Indicative that Alyssa was probably going to graduate to this point at some point during her life.
She then went home, wrote up her crime in the diary, and referred to the fact that she was now headed for church.
Alyssa is somebody that is very good at compartmentalization. On the one hand, she can play the role of a good girl going to church and follow general rules of the household so that she didn't get kicked out by her grandparents, who definitely seemed like they were trying to instill good values in her. But on the other hand, she had this whole other side. Not that she was trying to hide that side even. It's just the idea that somebody like Alyssa, it didn't really feel like cognitive dissonance for her.
See what I'm saying? How very, very similar that these girls are in what they did.
For another human being that doesn't have the ideas and mindset of Alyssa, this would greatly disturb them to be, this horrible person who's violent on the one hand and then going to church and singing in the choir, for example, on the other. But for Alyssa, it didn't really bother her. And that shows us that she is not somebody who really has a strong sense of identity.
Alyssa Bustamante is charged.
Very much so, just like Gypsy. Why? Because she had been pretending to be this sick kid for so long. You know, she was pretending to be this sick kid, going out in public, pretending to be the sick child. Behind the scenes, she was expressing all these extremely weird and inappropriate type of behavior with her BDSM and the videos and all the things that her and Nick were doing. And it was like she was living two different lives, but she enjoyed seeing people in pain.
Murder of Elizabeth Alton. Despite her confession, Alyssa enters a plea of not guilty.
How do you plead not guilty when you have just told police you killed this little girl, and then you've actually brought them to the grave where you've dumped her body?
The stress of being in custody causes Alyssa to fall into self-destructive habits.
As she's being held in jail, awaiting her trial, she starts her old tricks again. She starts cutting. She doesn't have any real tools to do it with, but she uses her fingernails, and she starts to harm herself by cutting. And she's showing clear signs of anxiety and severe depression.
What more would Alyssa Bustamante tell officers about the death of Elizabeth Alton? And what might the self-harmer do?
Did you continue, or did you have any suicidal thoughts after your arrest?
Yes.
The defense case was simple. How could a child for whom no one took responsibility in her early years be held responsible for murder?
When you look at...
Okay, that's just repeating the same thing. Give me 1 second, because it said that they removed the violation and I won my appeal, but then they violated me again for sexual exploitation. What sexual exploitation? Y'all, that shit is so weird. Okay. That was kind of crazy, right? I haven't been paying attention to the chat, you guys. I didn't hear any exploitation either. I mean, I was playing that interview, and the interview had quite a little bit of triggering information. Maybe it was the whole thing about the 8-year-old girl. Yeah. That sucks. Oh, appeal approved. Cool. Yay! I won. Okay. I'm not going to go live now. It's almost 11. So, I'm going to go ahead and get off because I stayed up with you guys much later than I normally do. I normally go to bed around 10. But we had such a good conversation. Like, I was going to go and start watching what were we watching? Oh, we were watching the Prison Confessions. I was going to start that back up again tonight, but we had so much to talk about, so we'll pick that back up tomorrow night. And I should be able to get on a little bit earlier than I did tonight because my schedule isn't as heavy tomorrow. But yeah. I will see you guys tomorrow. I love you guys so much. Y'all have a wonderful evening.